Welcome, this is Drac Attack, and this is a Plus Profile. A Plus Profile is where I take MMORPG gamers, like myself, and I do an interview with them, and I have them tell their best MMORPG stories and what they are looking forward to the upcoming MMO, Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. Today, we have Faemon. Now, I know everybody is kind of down on social media sometimes, but I met Faemon through social media over on EverQuest. So that's how I know her, and she reached out to me to do a Plus Profile, and so I'm super excited to have her. So I hope you enjoy. Onward and upward.
My first main, which we'll talk about later, will be Karalyn, and she will be a human paladin. Okay, so my husband and I have been doing MMOs like the whole time we've had a relationship. And so 2 to 3 years ago, he started talking about this game called Pantheon. And I kind of wasn't paying much attention. I knew that he was watching videos all the time and when he was doing work and all this stuff. And I wasn't really paying attention, like I said. And then all of a sudden, for some reason, I was like, oh, I haven't played an MMO in so long. And I missed that experience, and so I started to actually listen to him. It was around October of 2019, and that's important later. And so I got obsessed too. Like, basically, he was like, "Oh, well, I backed it for $300," and I was like, "Oh, that's important. We should go check this game out then if you're going to start backing it with our money." And so basically, since then, one of our togetherness activities is to watch everything Pantheon that's on YouTube, like you guys and Nathan Napalm and Baz, and so I just like dove full force into it after I found out my husband had backed it. I don't have a guild as yet. I actually put an application in for Pantheon Plus. I'm not sure if you're planning to be a player guild like once the game starts. Definitely EverQuest 1. I just loved it for the challenge and the social experience and the fact that classes matter. One of my great, like, the thing that makes me happiest gaming is to really know my class and to really know how that class interacts with the other classes and what my job is, both the main thing that I'm supposed to do, and then as a paladin, as a tank, it's really important to keep an eye on healers and casters and make sure they're not being beat down. And so I just really like that aspect of, interconnectedness. I like that there's other things to do when you don't find a group. I loved in EverQuest that there was crafting, there was exploring, and so I get back to like the fact that there was a challenge and that classes really meant something. That was my favorite part. I don't really have a best story. I was looking at these questions earlier and thinking about it. Like, I used to do text MUDs before I got involved with EverQuest. And then after EQ, we ended up playing EQ2, and then we played WoW. And there was just so much that happened in that huge, 25-year span of time that I can't really come up with the best. But what I will say is, I know that's not like the coolest answer in the world, but what I will say is that, there were some really hard times in my life, and the fact that I could dive into one of these games, especially EverQuest where we had a guild, just was very meaningful to me. It really helped me through some traumatic times in my life, and I just, for me, that's best, that it kept me sane and kept me going when I needed some support. Okay, so I have raided only one time in my life. So I loved this question because I get to tell you that my only raiding experience was awful and I never did it again. It was super late at night and my husband had gone to sleep and the guildies had all gone to sleep and I was still up, and this guild needed more clerics. There was just not enough clerics. for what they needed, and so they were advertising like crazy in the Plane of Knowledge. And I was like, okay, sure. I've never raided before. I'm a very casual player. So I dove in, I went to, I don't even remember where we were raiding. It was something in one of the planes. And for an hour, I just sat there while they were organizing. And finally, they were like, oh, okay, clerics, you're going to like res people. That's what you're going to do. Like they're going to die and then you're going to res them. And then you're going to, it was, it was an hour of just waiting. And then it was like, okay, I'm resing. And it literally took 15 minutes. And I don't know. I just never was like interested in raiding again because I was like, wow, if I'm going to spend an hour just standing around. Might have been different if I'd actually been in that guild and had more like interaction during that hour. But so I don't even remember what we raided. Okay, so another funny story. I had only played text-based MUDs. The answer is PvE. But my husband got me into EverQuest. Well, he played on Rallos. So that was the PvP server. So I dived into EverQuest with I had never played a graphical MMO before. I didn't know the controls. I didn't know my class. I didn't know anything about EverQuest. So day one, we were air dates. I was a wizard. And we went to whatever dungeon is over there, near Tox. And these like evil irridates, like I forget what classes they were, they pretended to be good. And we're in this dungeon, it's my first day, and they totally ganked us. Like we're in a group with these folks, and next thing I know, like we're all dead. And they actually then chased us around for like another 15-20 minutes, trying to get the stuff off of our corpses, or all that stuff from PvP. And then it just got worse from there. I never had the opportunity to really learn the game because we were spending so much time like running from people. There was finally this, I don't remember what nervous breakdown I had, but I just told my husband, like, if we don't go to a blue server, I'm done. Like, I'm not going to play anymore. I remember this one time in particular. Well, I will say that I did learn how to, in PvP, I did learn how to run and hide, like, really well. So that's cool. One time I was in Rivervale, or in Misty Thicket, and there was this guy that just kept after me. And I was so pissed. I think this was actually the thing that made me quit. And he just kept killing me, and I was a wizard and I didn't need my gear, right? I could just like pop into so I literally just went after him with like zap, and finally after like 30 minutes of this, he was like, all right, like all you're gonna do is keep trying to kill me. It was pathetic. Anyway, I think PvP is like so stressful. Okay, so this is like a middle ground kind of answer. I usually have 2 to 3 mains, which I play equally depending on the situation. So generally I have a paladin, a cleric. I'm not sure how I'm going to do cleric in Pantheon. I might be a druid, but yeah, generally I'm definitely a paladin, and then I'm definitely a healer of some kind, and then I might have another one that I get to pretty high level. And then my alts are all between. I just like to try the classes. So generally I start something and then like level 15, I dump it. I'm like, oh, I didn't have fun with that. Never mind. So I definitely, though, have like 2 to 3 mains. I don't consider them alts. Like, to me, they're all important. Just depends on what's needed in a group. Okay, so I do love crafting. I loved crafting in WoW and EQ2, like way better than EverQuest. EverQuest was so annoying because it's like okay, get this out of the stack, put it in here, combine. And then in EQ1 also, the cities would have like the dumbest setup as far as like crafting stuff. So it was like, oh, I have to go over here, and then I have to like zone into Freeport North to get this piece of. But I did it because I like to create things. But I am glad that Pantheon sounds like it's going to have like a way better crafting system than EQ1. My favorite is I love fletching, and so I'm kind of concerned that Pantheon doesn't seem to have like a dedicated fletching going on yet. But as a paladin, even though it wasn't like important to have a bow and arrow, you could choose other ways to pull things. I just really like that thunk, like like you do that ranged attack to pull something, and it's like thunk. And what I really liked was that I could make these super intense arrows and do like 75 damage, just from pulling something. So definitely fletching is my favorite. I loved how after Classic, basically EQ started like with the quivers and having better arrows and stuff like that. But I also was like a provisioner in EQ1. I would do a lot of the food, especially once they added stats to the food, because I really like having interesting meals to eat, especially once there was stat food. And then in WoW, I know this is like, what's your favorite crafting? But I really like WoW. I got really into enchanting and disenchanting and stuff like that. So I don't think there's anything like that that's going to happen in Pantheon. But I love crafting. I mean, I try all the different crafting. I may not like all of it, but it's fun. I don't have a favorite. I really don't. I'll eat and drink pretty much whatever I have around. So that's not a very interesting answer. I would love, like right now, I'm on a crappy laptop, but what I would really love to have is a huge monitor. I actually have very poor eyesight. It's just gotten worse in my 40s, and so once Pantheon is out, I mean, we've talked about it, like I will get a big monitor. So yeah, sure. So on Twitch, I stream two things. I stream EverQuest and Project 1999, and I stream indie games, and that is at Faymom, and that's FAYMOM, because I'm a mom and a little bit Fae. No, just I'm so looking forward to Pantheon. We do actually have alpha access, so definitely looking forward to that. I mean, we totally understand software development. We know it's not going to be like, yay, it's a full-fledged game, but we're still excited to just try out the classes and see what's going on. My big deal is, as part of the community, I just want to make sure that it's not like a total sausage fest. And I want to be sure that women and people of color and LGBTQ and everybody feels really comfortable with being in an inclusive community. So like, this is stuff that I do in my real life. Like, I'm activist. So I kind of bring that to my gaming as well. I just want people to feel comfortable with each other. I think that it will be Christmas-ish, so the holiday season, so November maybe, of 2022.